Hello and welcome to All 32. My name is Arabia and here we talk all things football. If you're returning, what's up, big dogs? Today I have on my Bills shirt as requested. Let's see if I can show you guys. It's got the reigning league MVP on it. I like the kind of like a little outline type with a little autograph on the shirt. Cute. All right, Bills fans. I've worn it before too, but it's okay. Got my Dolphins gear yesterday, my Bills gear today. So there you go, Bills Mafia. Remember, right now, Fanatics is having free shipping on orders over $29. Use the All32 link in the description box and use code 29SHIP for free shipping on orders over $29. So let's get into it. It's a Friday prediction show. Somebody in the comments one time said that you guys want at least 20 minutes per episode. I can do that. I can 20 minutes per episode Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but these Friday prediction shows are just that. They're predictions with a little bit of news sprinkled in here and there just to round out the week with any news that happened during the week. So let's get into these predictions. Now, my record from week 8 from last week was 9-4. And then including yesterday's game, last night's game, Ravens Dolphins. Now that's 10-4 for week 9. So let's go down. 49ers, Giants, I'm going 49ers. Chargers, Titans, Chargers. Vikings, Lions, I'm going Lions. Falcons, Patriots. I'll go Patriots. Colts, Steelers, but I'm not super sure about the Falcons, Patriots one, but I'll say Patriots. Colts, Steelers, I'll go Colts. Broncos, Texans, Broncos. Bears, Bengals. That Bengals defense just, burns me up. I'll go Bengals. Panthers, Packers, I'm going Packers. Saints, Rams, I'm going Rams. Jaguars, Raiders. I'll go Jaguars. But I can see this one going the other way. But I'll go Jaguars. Chiefs, Bills. I'm going to go Chiefs. Seahawks, Commanders, Seahawks. And then Cardinals, Cowboys, I'll go Cowboys. Those are my official picks, locked in. No more changing my mind. I'll come back on Tuesday, and we'll see how I did for week 9. Speaking of predictions, another dub in that win-loss column for me last night. The Ravens beat the Dolphins 28-6. You know, Mace has this theory of like predicting who's going to win the game. And his whole thing is like whichever quarterback makes it to 225 passing yards first will win the game. I adamantly disagree with that. I think there are so many different examples of teams that are like good all-around teams or teams that have a better defense than offense. So their offense doesn't have to super perform and have these big productive numbers to where they can still win games. But this game is an example of that. Tua had 245 passing yards. Lamar Jackson didn't even make it to 200. I think he had like 188 passing yards or something like that. But my whole thing is the turnover battle. Turnover ratio is one of the most reliable predictors of wins and losses since football even started. And that happened this game. The Dolphins had turnovers. Guess who didn't? The Ravens. So just my whole thing is like you have to protect the ball. You cannot give the other team opportunities to capitalize on mistakes. And we saw that happen. We saw that and more happening last night. Lamar was back in his first game since having a hamstring injury in week 4. He started off pretty rusty, but then he started to heat up. A lot of people are giving the Chiefs credit for heating up at the right time in the middle of the season and then, potentially going on a run. But are we not giving the Ravens the same consideration? If not, I understand why. So let me present both sides of the argument. On one hand, I would also like to say a team looks better when they're fully healthy. I mean, obviously, a team looks way different, ideally better, when they're fully healthy. So now that they have a guy like Lamar Jackson back, like I said, it totally shifts the dynamic of that entire team. So the Ravens could turn a corner midway through the season and go on a run. It's not like the AFC North is just dominated by anyone. I mean, the Steelers at the top of that division, but I mean, they don't necessarily look like this for sure win. Excuse me, let me drink a bottle of water. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Steelers. God damn. Shit. Steelers spirits in here strong. All I'm saying is that the Ravens also could go on a run. They could go on a stretch where they win games and start to kind of compete in that division after being at the bottom. The reason why I can see why they're not giving the Ravens the same consideration as the Chiefs is because the Chiefs know how to get it done, like Super Bowl get it done. And the Lamar and the Ravens are having trouble even getting to the big game. So when you have a Chiefs pedigree team that season after season after season after season after season is able to not just get to the playoffs and just win their division, but to actually make Super Bowls, then you have way more faith in that team's ability to adjust and do what they have to do when it comes to November and December. So I can see both sides, but I'm going to give Ravens consideration and say that there is a possibility that they're not just done and that they could go on a stretch and potentially, make a run in order to get to the playoffs. The Ravens defense last night looked a lot closer to what we know for them to be. Mr. Glizzy Glock himself had a good night. Marlon Humphrey, Roquan had a good night. Kyle Hamilton had a good night. The tight ends, the Ravens tight ends were definitely a highlight of that game. 3 of the 4 touchdowns were thanks to tight ends. I said yesterday that the Dolphins were not going to be able to hold Baltimore and Derrick Henry to the same rushing that they did the Falcons and Bijan Robinson, and that rang true. Remember, they held Bijan to like 25 rushing yards and the Falcons to 45 total rushing yards. Didn't happen last night. Derrick Henry had 119 rushing yards on 19 carries, and most of it happened in the second half. That's called persistence. You know what that's called? Because he was pretty quiet in the first half. Derrick Henry and just the rushing in general was pretty quiet in the first half. But Todd Monken, I'll give him credit because I've been very critical of Todd Monken. I'll give Todd Monken credit in that he stuck to what he knows works. It didn't work in that first half, but he stuck to and really run. The thing about a run game is that it could really literally run a defense down and tire you out. Like you have to just play after play after play account for the run in addition to Lamar Jackson. So I can definitely give Todd Monken and the Ravens credit for that, for continuing with something that maybe wasn't working in the first half, but they continue to stick with it in the second half. And Baltimore as a whole had 150 rushing yards. Not spectacular. They didn't run crazy on them, but ran enough to make a difference. And like I said, most of that was in the second half. Dolphins just look bad. They just look really, really horrible. It's just one of those years for them. It's just one of those years for them where the quarterback and the defense and the head coach and everything it's not working out. Every organization has those years where it's like you just can't get right. You can't do anything right. Previous game, week 8, Tua did look good, and so that was kind of like a bright spot so far for them this season. But in general, it's just one of those can't get right seasons for the Dolphins. We'll see if Stephen Ross cares enough or is paying enough attention to make any changes, which last week he made it known he wasn't. So we'll see if he makes any changes. Former Eagles teammates Mike Vick and DeSean Jackson are now head coaches, and they went face-to-face for the first time yesterday. DeSean Jackson is the head coach of Delaware State, and Mike Vick is the head coach of Norfolk State. Norfolk State, unfortunately, lost to Delaware State 20-27. So congratulations to DeSean Jackson, but really congratulations is in order for both of these gentlemen. A lot of times players' entire lives, from peewee to high school to college to the NFL, their life is football. And a lot of these guys, not all of them, but a lot of these guys don't think of who they are and what they're going to do outside of football after football is over. Because, shelf life isn't that long, but if you are blessed with a long career, it's not forever. It's a really daunting sport on the body and on the mind. So I'm happy that both of these brothers are finding themselves after football and are able to still give back to a community, be involved with the game that they loved and that they were good at the highest level, and, have the camaraderie and the brotherhood to go up against each other. So I love to see this. I encourage this 1,000%. Congratulations to DeSean Jackson and the Delaware State Hornets, but also congrats to Mike Vick and Norfolk State as well. If you have YouTube TV, you may lose access to your ESPN channels, your ESPN content. And that includes college football, NFL, NBA, amongst others, on ESPN and ABC. So reportedly, what's happening is ESPN is launching their own app that they want you to use in order to watch all this content. So ESPN went to YouTube TV and significantly increased the broadcasting rights. When you significantly increase the broadcasting rights, YouTube TV has to increase pricing for customers. So then customers go to the ESPN app to watch the content. But then ESPN increases those prices. We've come full circle to a point with streaming where it no longer makes sense. You know, when everybody first started coming out with like an HBO Max or a Netflix really was a start. Netflix was a start with them CDs back in the day, the CDs that you had to order and mail back. Yeah, you remember that? Netflix, HBO Max, then you had Disney Plus, you have just all these other things. But by the time you pay for all this shit individually, you could have had the premium package on your TV. You could have gave Verizon. You could have gave who's the other like local? I have Verizon, so I don't Comcast. You could have given all these other companies the money for their premium package by the time you pay for all the, because guess what? I'm paying for TV too. If you pay for basic TV and internet and you also have all these streaming platforms, like at this point, it's like, what is the point? And you know what there needs to be? There needs to be more competition, because when the same company that's launching the platform, launching the app, and showing the content is the same company that is filming and has the broadcasting rights, that's dangerous. Who are they competing with? If they are the ones who have rights to the actual game and they can sell it and now they have their own app, that's dangerous, because now they're able to dictate which at the price of sharing their content. There has to be more competition, and the NFL just has to open up the market for additional teams so that prices just don't go out of the roof. And you know where it starts? It starts with YouTube TV customers. It starts with ESPN customers. It starts with us actually making noise about it. So I don't have YouTube TV. But if you have YouTube TV, just be mindful that it's possible that your prices either are going to increase or you could lose your access to these like ESPN channels and ESPN content. Aidan Hutchinson signed a 4-year, $180 million contract with the Lions, as the Lions should. As the Lions should. Okay, that makes Aidan. So there's 7 players who are locked in. 7 key players who are locked in with the Lions for the foreseeable future. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Aleem McNeil, Kirby Joseph, Penei Sewell, and Aidan Hutchinson. That's how you run an organization. Shout out to Brad Holmes. All right, guys, that's really all the time that we have for today. Again, today's a prediction show. Friday shows are just a prediction show. And again, I'll sprinkle some little news at the end for you. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Halloween. I wanted to wear a costume, but my son is with his dad right now. And so I just didn't get myself a costume. I might do something later, like a nice little adult party. I don't know, have some fun. Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy the games, whatever you do. Have fun and be safe. And I will see you next week.